The following episode contains descriptions of violence and sexual assault directed particularly at the LGBTQ+ community. Listener discretion is advised.
You're having a good time on the couch with your friends. You're having a good time in the bed alone. You're having a good time watching TV. Let us ruin your day. Yay!
Welcome to Now It's Ruined, the podcast for people who hate enjoying things, and boy, oh boy, are we in a time to hate so many
Everything.
things.
Everything.
I'm Kate Bridle.
And I'm Larkin Harrington.
And good God, we might be in World War III. We are recording this June 23rd, 2025. I'm not sure when I'll release it because of editing capacity right now, because in addition to World War III and Democratic senators being assassinated and, you know, states being able to ban gender-affirming care for trans youths, my mom died. So, as you all already know. So it's been a whole shitty couple of weeks.
I don't have the words, so I'm just not.
Larkin might cry about it even if I don't, because she is a true empath and she will feel my feelings even when I am suppressing them. She can't. So I'm going to try not to make her cry. Anyway, we're maybe
always
not
taking care of me first.
No, not always. You were very much there for me, but we were, yes, the day that it was happening, we were hysterical on the phone together, just basically shriek crying at one another. It was just it's been a really fun period of time. But I'm in what I'm referring to as my wallowing sweater, which is this exceptionally soft sweater that I bought at Patina when my sister and I went for a grief shopping spree there.
You guys, it looks so soft.
It is super soft, but I actually think I'm going to take it off because it is warm in here. But I'm so excited to take it off because underneath I have a shirt that Larkin gave me that I know listeners won't be able to appreciate. But if you're watching this on YouTube or Patreon, which as a reminder is where you can get the visual format of this podcast, it is, I'm going to see if I can even get it all in frame. It is a shirt with two giant pictures of Andrew Garfield on it, and it says...
I forgot how gorgeous it is.
Andrew Garfield, really large. Larkin, would you like to tell the people why you purchased me?
I was compelled. I always look at all the shirts and at Goodwill, every single one of them. I take my time, and it was just a plethora of choices. But really, that one, it spoke to me, and I even texted you, and I was like, "How do you even feel about Andrew Garfield?" And you were like, tepid.
Exactly medium is how I feel about it. I'm like
medium,
very lukewarm about Andrew Garfield, and that's what makes it so amazing. I haven't seen him in that much, to be honest. I thought he was great in Under the Banner of Heaven. He was fantastic.
Oh my God, he was incredible in that.
So I think he's very talented. He's musically talented, and he seems like a really lovely dude. But like, I just don't have any strong feelings about him, which is why it's so great that I have a shirt with two giant pictures of him and his name in huge print. I have not had the balls to like wear it out and about yet because I don't know what I'm afraid will happen. Like, I don't like someone's gonna come up and be like, imposter. Like, I don't know.
You don't actually like him. Name everything he's done. Quick now. Go.
Yeah. For $1 million, take this deep Andrew Garfield quiz. Like, what am I worried is going to happen? Like, I don't want to misrepresent myself. What am I talking about? But he actually, one of the interviews that I saw with him, like, a couple of years ago, I think, was about his mom dying. He lost his mom a few years ago to cancer, and he has given some really, like, beautiful interviews about it and about his grief and how he's learned to kind of embrace his grief because it helps him feel connected to her, and like has said really lovely things. It's part of what gives me the impression that he's a lovely human. So I don't know that I'm emotionally prepared to watch those again just now, but we've got that in common. Andrew Garfield and I are in the Dead Mom Club together. Oh, you know who else is in the Dead Mom Club?
Oh,
Mr. Colin Hanks.
Mr. Colin Hanks.
Yeah.
Quarter for you.
Actually, one of the only red flags I have about Colin Hanks is that his wife's name is the same as his mom's.
Oh, that's a little bit of a...
It's just a little weird. It's unfair of me to, like...
It is unfair, but, every single... Like, I remember being on dating apps or like, looking for dates back in the day, and every Michael that popped up, I was like, immediately no.
That's interesting because I've been wondering, like, if my dad's name is Randy, and I was like, yeah, if Nate had been named Randall or Randy, no way in hell. Like,
No.
I would have been like, it's a bummer. I really get along with that guy, but I guess we'll never know. Because
Sorry, there's the door.
I've thought, like, maybe if it was a more common name, I might be able to look past it. If he was like a John,
Sure.
But Michael is very common. So can you do a Mike?
No. Because he goes by Mike. My dad goes by Mike.
Right,
And my little sister's name is Michael. Like, I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not.
It's double whammy. How do you say it in bed without thinking of your parent? I don't know how you do it. Colin Hanks, if you're listening, please call in and tell us. Call in, like we have a number. I don't know.
Exactly.
But I really just am like, maybe he doesn't say it. I don't know. If anyone knows Colin Hanks and his habits in bed, let us know.
Colin.
Poor Colin Hanks. No, don't tell us. He's to keep his private life private. Let's talk about how his mom is dead, and now I'm deriding him for having the emotional maturity to marry someone who has the same name as his mother and not make it weird. It's like, well, I love this person, so I'm going to do it anyway.
She's my person. She happens to have an unfortunate. Not unfortunate. No, okay. We're derailing. I'm foot in mouth.
Samantha. It's a pretty common name also, which I feel like is like maybe part of it. Anyway.
I'm not coming for Samantha's, but that feels like a weird thing to say in bed. I'm like, Samantha. I don't know.
Maybe she goes by Sam. I don't know.
Sam's, yeah, sure.
Let's forget about what we were going to talk about on this episode and just theorize about.
Yeah. Forget what I was going to talk about because it is dark. So let's just stay here. This is comfortable. This is a good zone. And
more fun.
Bouncing off, saying names in bed is just weird to me, and I don't like it.
In general? I mean, I'm not a big chit-chatter in bed generally.
Oh, me neither, no. Don't say words.
Do not speak to me.
Don't speak to me.
I don't like being bossed around. Like, I know that's some people's thing, but the second someone's like, oh yeah, come for me, I'm like, no. Like,
don't tell me what to do.
Exactly. Now you ruined it. Also, I need a lot of focus, so if you could shut your fucking mouth,
if you could
please.
Shut up.
Yeah, I'm so contrarian. Like, my gut, like, knee-jerk reaction is just like, ugh, no.
Yeah, I get mad.
Anyway, now that we've gone from the death of my mother to our sexual proclivities and Colin Hanks's potentially weird or just really emotionally mature relationship with his wife, let's move on.
Beautiful, lovely wife. Okay, sorry.
His lovely wife. She really does seem like a great gal. And they've been together for, like, a long time. So, good for them.
Good for them.
They seem awesome, and I love them. Anyway, great.
And I love them.
Guys, listen, it's been a hell of a 2 weeks. I'm an orphan now,
Kate!
You have to be a child, unfortunately, to call yourself an orphan. Also,
That
I do think
unfair.
I owe at least one more quarter for that whole situation. Quarters into the Colin Hanks jar. So, back on track. We were supposed to do this as our second episode in June for Pride, because it is also Pride themed. But as I just mentioned, my mom died. It was not expected, and it was like 2 weeks ago. So obviously that has thrown some stuff off course for me. So we upcycled our Triangle Shirtwaist bonus episode, which if you hadn't had the chance to listen to that, it really is still a very interesting story and pretty ruinous. But we, also are behind on bonus content. We owe $5 and up patrons another bonus episode. We will get there. We will do our best to stay on track and give you new content, but I'm also moving at the end of the summer. There's a lot going on. We're both struggling, but we will do our best to continue to give you cool stuff, cool bonus content. Only housekeeping I really have today is update on the interstate wars. And Larkin doesn't even know this yet. California has overtaken Washington as our leading listenership state by like a lot.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, keep spreading the word, and the more we keep growing, the more motivated we are to push through the tougher times like this. So please don't feel like we need you to ease off. No. Tell your friends, tell your enemies.
We love doing this. It's a lot of fun. It's a bright spot. So
we do, absolutely. And just one more note. Hopefully this will come out before this date, or I will cut it out. But if you're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con this year, I'm going to be there. I'm moderating a panel about Daredevil Born Again. That's all about the legal issues. It's a bunch of lawyers we're called the Legal Geeks, and we talk about legal issues in popular culture. So we're doing legal analysis of issues in Daredevil Born Again, which I should probably watch before I go do that.
Maybe get on that, yeah. I'll watch it with you.
Oh, great. Yeah, that'd be fun. And with that, I'll hand it over to Larkin for a depressing, dark, but hopefully somewhat inspirational.
You know, I feel like it is.
Okay.
I tried to get as inspirational as possible, but it's a dark thing and a dark conversation. And especially in light of current events and attitudes, it feels even more devastating. But I tried. As Kate said, this was to be in honor of Pride Month. And I wanted to talk about the horrible, tragic, and ultimately empowering history of the pink triangle, which honestly I knew nothing about, which I was shocked to find out about myself. I was learning so much through all of this research. And this was for Pride Month, so in a way it's not necessarily like a true ruin. I don't want to say that we're ruining the pink triangle because of its reclamation and what it means now. But the history is like so on point with what we do here that it just it does fit. So don't look for the truest of all ruinings, but do be ready to be upset, which is how we usually leave you.
Yeah, and to think of some dark shit. That's part of actually why it appealed to us also was we didn't want to just be like the bleakest of bleak for Pride. Like the LGBTQ plus community is very aware of all of the hazards and horrific history. So like, you know, we didn't necessarily want to just be complete downers. So that's part of kind of why we liked it, was that it is horrific and it'll give you lots of the horrible things that you come to this podcast for, but also is a little bit of a, you know, story of reclamation.
Well said. So let's get into it. So there are so many symbols in our collective history. And of course, the ones that hold the most power and meaning are often born of persecution. These are the symbols that, without the need for words, inspire us, show solidarity, create safe space, bring us joy and immense sadness, as well as solemn remembrance. So what was and is the pink triangle? Now, a symbol of gay pride and empowerment, the pink triangle was first known as a symbol of shame, persecution, and evil wrought by evil men. As I'm sure you have guessed, I'm referring to the Nazis.
Hey, our old pals.
Evil and Nazis, synonymous.
Careful, Larkin. That's a controversial statement these days.
These days, yeah. I better watch my back here. Heavens to Betsy. So the inverted, so upside down pink triangle was used to identify gay men persecuted by the Nazis between 1933 and 1945. Gay men were some of the first targeted by the Nazi regime, seen as a dangerous threat to the survival of German people and, of course, the Aryan race, largely on the premise that gay relationships would inherently not produce offspring, right?
Right. So we want to make all this Aryan super babies, and you're not contributing to the cause, damn it.
We know that Nazis targeted and persecuted marginalized peoples, anyone perceived as different or, as they saw them, quote, racially inferior, and therefore a threat. Initially, they targeted political threats, i.e. communists, social democrats, and unionists, you know, people who like supporting and providing for other human beings equally as a whole. Gross. Unacceptable stuff.
We don't like that.
Ew.
Yeah. Why should I?
It sounds like an inconvenience to me. The criteria for persecution expanded rapidly, of course, from not just political opposition, but on the basis of religion, race, and sexual orientation. There were mass arrests of those proclaimed as enemies of the state, many of which were sent to labor or concentration camps. The demarcation of different prisoners in the camps officially started in 1939. Different colored inverted triangles, some with lettering, were sewn into prisoners' uniforms to make them easily identifiable by the SS for whatever the prisoners' perceived crime of existence was.
Oh, I didn't realize that they were all triangles. Like
I didn't either. Again, I learned so much. And you can see the charts, the original charts, which I'll talk about.
We'll link to those in the show notes.
These emblems varied slightly between camps, but there is a chart from Dachau, the first systematized concentration camp established in 1933 and used as a model for camps that followed. This chart defines 34 distinct markings. Most notably in our collective consciousness, I think we recall the use of the yellow star, a mockery of the Star of David to identify Jews. The act of marking people in order to segregate them is appalling on its own, of course. But taking into account the fact that Jewish people had been subjected to this for centuries before the obscene and archaic practice was finally abolished by the 19th century, it makes it that much more appalling that the Nazis brought it back. So the Star of David, or Magen David in Hebrew, meaning the Shield of David, is a 6-pointed star made up of 2 equilateral triangles superimposed over and intersecting one another. In religious lore, the star appears on the Shield of David, imbued with magical or protective power from God. And it was the universally recognized symbol of community for Jewish people, making it even more perverse that they were forced to wear it as a badge of shame. My dad has actually always worn a Star of David as a necklace, and I do remember asking him why he wore one. He is a Christian minister, and I asked him again recently, and he just said simply, because Jesus was a Jew. And I was like, I love you. Very my dad. Uh-huh. So I wanted to go through the whole marking system here, because not only is it fascinating, but I didn't know nearly as much about the numerous and varied symbols that were used. And knowing and talking about them in my mind is a way to remember the people who were forced to wear them. So this is a translation directly from the Kupferberg Holocaust Center. Red meant a political prisoner, green, a general criminal, purple.
I like that. Just general criminals.
Just
You're run-of-the-mill murderers and thieves, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
Purple, a Jehovah's Witness, who they were targeted for denouncing Hitler and refusing to fight in the army.
Wow.
Blue, an immigrant. Black, quote-unquote asocial prisoner, meaning mentally impaired, addicts, or the quote-unquote work shy, which is a nice way of saying lazy or good for nothing, which opens up to me issues that I didn't even think about. But of course, there were many differently abled people imprisoned and tortured, and that is something that I can't handle or even fathom in my mind. Brown indicated the Roma, another racially targeted group. Yellow, of course, as we talked about, was assigned to Jewish prisoners. And finally, pink for homosexuals, the lowest class.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. A colored bar above a triangle was added for prisoners with multiple or more than one classifying group.
Oh, intersectional in their discrimination.
Oh, yeah.
How great.
Yeah. And the colored bar followed the same color rule.
Okay.
So you could have a double up or,
But it's like they decided the main one was like whatever your main. So if you're a gay criminal, they have to decide if you're more criminal or more gay.
I think it was more like if you're a political criminal, but more so you're a Jewish, you'd have that kind of.
Got it. Okay.
Yellow triangle with a black outlined triangle superimposed over it meant a Jewish prisoner who had sexual relations with someone of the Aryan race. A yellow triangle superimposed over a solid black triangle meant a quote-unquote race defiler. So more specifically, a Jewish person accused of having had relations with just generally a non-Jewish person.
Okay.
A red triangle right side up indicated a prisoner of war or a deserter, and a red dot marked a likely escapee. Letters stitched onto the triangles indicated country of origin, i.e. P for Pole or F for French. K stood for the German word Kugel or bullet, indicating a person accused of sabotage, political involvement, or a failed escape attempt. Lesbians actually did not fall under the same category as gay men.
I was going to ask. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Women really were not targeted during this time. From what I read, it appears that they weren't as worried about them being corrupted. It's like women weren't being taken seriously at all. So it's like, you might like ladies, but do you?
But
you're not really a problem.
Yeah.
But not really. And we can fix you. Right.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah. They weren't indicated under the pink triangle at all, but the black as asocial.
Oh, yeah, that's really fascinating.
Let's go back and look at perceptions of homosexuals.
Homosexuals? That was kind of Moira Rose-ish.
Because I think I was going to say homosexuality.
I like the homosexuals.
Homosexuals. Let's go back and look at perceptions of homosexuals in Germany pre-Nazi takeover. Definitely not awesome, as I'm sure you guessed. General attitudes towards homosexuality were that it was unnatural, sinful, definitely didn't fall in line with traditional values, and was technically illegal. In 1871, paragraph 175 was added to the German Criminal Code. This new law stated, quote, unnatural sexual acts committed between persons of the male sex or by humans with animals is punishable with imprisonment. A loss of civil rights may also be sentenced, end quote.
Wow.
But it's rather vague. It's just kind of a vague allusion to sodomy, right?
Right. And then they lumped in bestiality, which a lot of countries love to do. They were like, it's the same.
It's the same. You gross babies.
Yeah, two consenting adult men. Definitely the same.
Definitely the same as creepy man down the road who likes sheep. Like,
right.
No. Note that, again, only men are subjected here. Lesbians are exempt. Though not from ridicule by any stretch of the imagination, but gay men specifically were targeted harshly. Despite this, a gay counterculture thrived in big cities across Germany, most famously in Berlin. This counterculture boom happened mostly during the Weimar Republic, the Democratic Republic instated after World War I, and the government became more lenient and less likely to enforce this vague law as public attitudes began to change. This was in part due to new scientific research and discussion of the time that aided in normalizing homosexuality. One of the first openly gay men of renown, Karl Heinrich Ulrichs, played a huge role in changing the narrative around homosexuality. He was a lawyer and jurist, but he was dismissed after being outed. He worked to change perceptions and language around homosexuality. Another historical figure that I'm like, why the hell didn't I know about this person?
Yeah, no idea.
Because he was the first to define and actually apply terminology to the different sexual identities.
Wow.
I had no idea. He included bisexuality and even intersectionality in these new terms. He wrote essays about this. He considered himself kind of outside of gender. And he spoke out against the laws and attitudes of the time, publicly asserting that all different forms of sexuality are normal and something that we are born with, that there were scientific basis for sexual preference and identity.
Wow. So this is not new news to anyone who was thinking that somehow trans people just appeared in the last, decade or whatever. Not a thing. They've always been here.
He even helped to establish the first ever LGBTQ rights organization in the world.
What?
It's called the Scientific Humanitarian Committee, and it was established in 1897. And he helped found it with Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld, one of my new favorite human beings, and I'm so excited to talk about him. Oh my God, you guys. So he founded the Scientific Humanitarian Committee. He was the leader of it. He also founded the World League for Sexual Reform. He was a prominent sexologist and activist, and he has been referred to as the Einstein of sex.
Oh, why have I heard about Kinsey and not this guy?
Because.
Because Kinsey was married to a woman. Yeah.
His research provided firm scientific discourse about the biological element of sexuality, including the idea of sexuality as a spectrum. He fought hard against paragraph 175 for years. He was a feminist who believed that women's rights were naturally intertwined with gay rights. He campaigned for the decriminalization of abortion, joined a feminist organization called the League for the Protection of Mothers, and just seems to be the coolest fucking guy ever.
Allyship right there.
Ally. Oh, and he also made his personal villa into an institute of sexual research with a sex museum in it where he lived with his partner. He was also so beloved in the Berlin drag scene that he was affectionately called Tante Magnesia. Tante means aunt, and then Magnus, Magnesia. Like, I can't.
I love that.
And I'm going to stop here because this episode will soon become the Magnus Hirschfeld episode because I'm so in love with him and I have to move on.
Well, we could do a bonus episode. Like, if you want to dive way into him, like, I would love that. I like just to really focus on him. That'd be super cool.
I would love that because I'm in love with him.
New history crush.
Seriously. I want to hang out with Tante Magnesia so bad.
Who is your history crush?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
That's fair. It's okay. I was just curious if you had one off the bat. Houdini is mine.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Another big reason for the gradual shift in attitudes towards gay people during this time was a number of high-profile scandals that caught everyone's attention. A good example that I'll use is the Oscar Wilde affair with the poet Lord Alfred Douglas.
Yes.
Wilde was accused of gross indecency after being outed by Douglas's stupid dad. I know. The Marquess of Queensberry.
Fuck off. Fuck off with your titles. Marquis de...
Yeah, it's Marquis. Is it?
Yeah, I think it's Marquis.
Whatever. What is a Marquis, you ask? Who fucking cares? I reply. But whatever. It's apparently a rank above an earl, but below a duke. Like I said, who fucking
Just
cares?
one of those titles they used to hand out to their friends. Just a title that they could be like, well, if you make sure that this deal goes through, we'll make you the Marquis of Queensberry, and then you can have an estate.
Queensberry. You're not a duke, so tone it down.
Yeah.
But you can shit on an earl.
Flex on the earls. Yeah.
Flex on the earls. Remember your place. Who cares? Anyway.
And you can all treat poor people like shit. That's the main benefit. Pip pip.
Pip pip. You fascist fuck.
Sorry, British people.
Never.
But
I
you
mean,
know.
they get it.
You guys know.
You know.
I doubt we
Anyway.
have too many royalists listening to this podcast.
Seriously. Wilde decided to sue the guy for libel, and the trial was all anyone could talk about. Hirschfeld testified in a similar scandalous German libel trial. A general had sued a journalist for writing that he was gay, and Hirschfeld gave expert witness testimony affirming that, yes, the general was, in fact, gay. So the journalist wasn't wrong in writing about it.
Oh.
I guess he wanted to publicly point out that an army general could be gay and that there was nothing wrong with that, hoping it would help change public feelings. So not only did these high-profile cases put homosexuality more prominently in the public eye, it gave activists and professionals the chance to speak about it, and people would get the chance to hear it. It also helped to engender a stronger sense of community and solidarity for gay communities. Not only was Hirschfeld gay, but also Jewish, a double offense in the tidal wave of a new administration. After being beaten by nationalist thugs so badly that he was initially pronounced dead,
Oh my God.
his institute was ransacked and burned, and his patient lists stolen and used to target others and renamed pink lists. He was forced into exile and finally settled in France, where he spent the remainder of his life. His headstone is engraved with the words, "Justice through science," his lifelong motto. He's my new crush. This is the answer to your question. Magnus is my crush. He wouldn't want
be
me
into you,
that
but that's
way.
okay. We have
That's
crushes
fine.
on Zachary Quinto too. It's okay.
It's fine.
We know.
I'll just be uncomfortable when I'm drunk, but I'm getting this
Just
tattoo.
deeply disrespectful when you're drunk.
Oh, so
In a
like
room
his
with
partner
him.
would be like, "Oh God,
Here she
honey."
goes again. But it's a spectrum, you said.
You guys, you're the scientist.
For science. Make out with me for science. Really manipulative, really, really non-toxic
Horrible.
behaviors towards your gay friends that you have crushes on. Yeah, great.
Not allyship, you guys.
Don't do that.
do it. Don't do that.
Don't try and make out with your gay friends. They don't want to.
Yeah, so it was 1933 that the institute was burned. Not only did they burn a lot of research, they, took a lot of names.
Mm-hmm.
Coinciding with the activist movements and more attention in the news media, homosexuality was being portrayed increasingly in theater, film, and written publications. Gay nightclubs and bars were thriving queer community spaces as policing and the enforcement became more lax. So really, pre-Nazi Germany, there was real movement happening, real social change. But bam! It's 1933, and the Nazi Party is here to literally destroy everything. Everything that's been built, fought against for the decades leading up, every step forward was rolled back in an instant. And this is where I get to tell you that Hitler's friend and leader of the SA, basically his stormtroopers, Ernst Röhm, was openly gay.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And Hitler just kind of let that slide for a while, since Röhm was his old war buddy, had been wounded in war. He helped to form the Nazi Party before Hitler even was involved. And he played a crucial role in Hitler's rise to power.
I had no idea about this.
I had no idea about this fucking guy. And I really enjoy that the Holocaust Historical Society describes him as a, quote, fat, stocky, red-faced little man.
Like, Shade.
Right? Just, that's the only descriptor they have of him. It's like the little petty, like, and he was ugly.
And he was gross. Nobody even
and I
wanted
really
him.
enjoyed that.
I love it.
No one did.
Oh my God.
He had orgies and stuff, and it was well known.
As you do.
Like you do when you have power and are into men, which I'm sure many of them were, but not publicly like he was. But he played it a little too fast and loose, and he got a little too confident. And his quote-unquote indecency could only be tolerated for so long. Like, Hitler put up with it for a while, but he did have to save face in front of his very conservative support. Finding himself at possible odds with his military force, Hitler decided to use Röhm as a scapegoat, accusing him of plotting a coup and setting him up. He had Röhm and many other SA leaders, the stormtroopers, murdered by the SS on what is now known as the Night of the Long Knives, June 30th, 1934. They rounded them all up and shot them all.
Wow.
Yeah. The very next year, Paragraph 175 was revised and strengthened, allowing for harsher punishments, fixed prison sentences, and indefinite incarceration in the camps. Bars and clubs were shut down en masse, as well as queer publications. A separate Gestapo division was formed specifically for the task of hunting down and abducting homosexuals. So over the 12 years of Nazi occupation, approximately 100,000 gay men were arrested. They were interrogated and tortured into giving up any acquaintances, friends, or loved ones who might be queer in an attempt to compile a heinous national registry. They arrested men with literally zero evidence, merely on hearsay or vague accusation. Evidence, as they called it, could be anything as mundane as physical contact between men or even mail correspondence if one of the men was presumed gay. Punishment for their crimes could include sterilization, which was really common, most commonly by vasectomy, castration, incarceration, or being sent to a labor concentration or death camp. As the lowest class of prisoner, as I said before, they were often segregated from the other prisoners and suffered severe targeted mistreatment. They were also largely subjected to inhuman scientific experimentation. We don't know the exact number of lives lost, but leading experts estimate a death toll of 60%. Primarily in the camps, of all arrested.
Wow. That's like 60,000
at
least then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God.
So, like I said, the segregation from the general population just meant way more opportunity for mistreatment and alienation from the other prisoners. They were avoided by the other prisoners as well. So they didn't get targeted, obviously. And I couldn't confirm this factoid, but I saw it in a couple articles, but that the pink triangle was even larger than the other ones, than any of the other ones, just so they could be even more quickly identifiable. After the war, the suffering of homosexuals. Wow,
homosexuals.
Moira. Homosexuals. After the war, the suffering of the homosexuals. My goodness. After the war, the suffering of homosexuals was not acknowledged for many years. There was even a widespread fallacy that a gay agenda is what drove Nazi militarism. Using high-level players like the previously mentioned Ernst Röhm as propagandist examples, politicians created a widely accepted myth that homosexual deviants were the villains responsible for much of the Nazi military success. And the myth lasted in public vernacular for years.
Wow. Thankfully never heard that one.
I never heard that one either. The gay agenda. In 1946, activist and psychologist Rudolf Klimmer attempted to appeal for the recognition of homosexual victims of the regime, as well as reparations for their maltreatment, but he went entirely unheard. But hey, they did eventually roll back the revisions that had been made to paragraph 175, so it wasn't as bad.
Great. How long did that take?
Until 1994 to get it fully abolished.
I thought it was going to be bad, but that's real bad. Yeah.
They rolled back the revisions that the Nazis made the years immediately following 1945, but 1994, that's when it was abolished. But more efforts for recognition started to emerge. In 1971, Rosa von Braunheim released a film translated as "The homosexual is not perverse, but rather the situation in which he lives." Rosa was a chosen name for Braunheim, Rosa meaning pink in German, being a tribute to those forced to wear the pink triangle.
Wow.
Yeah. And the film birthed a movement. Later, Joseph Kohut wrote an incredible, well, later it was published, but Joseph Kohut wrote an incredibly visceral memoir translated by 1980 as The Men with the Pink Triangle. As one of the very few documented accounts of gay survivors, it was a revolutionary indictment of the crimes that occurred in the camps, as well as the discrimination that persisted after. I read excerpts, and it is powerful and sickening. Kohut was arrested by the Gestapo for a fucking picture he had gifted his partner of just the two of them, arms around each other, and it said on it, "To my friend, Fred, in eternal love and deepest affection."
Can't
he
be
served a
having that.
prison sentence for that.
Jesus Christ.
And was he released? No. He was sent to a fucking concentration camp and sexually assaulted while being transported there.
Oh, God.
He recounts the torture and murder of fellow gay prisoners, as well as, quote, compulsory regular visits to the brothel, end quote, as a way to, quote, cure them of their perversions.
God. So they're forcing them to have sex with women.
Which is rape.
Yes, that is. Yeah. Not by those poor prostitutes, but...
Right. His writings opened the floodgates for even more accounts of and efforts that raised awareness about the suffering of gay men that went previously unheard. The year after the book's publication, the Pink Triangle was reclaimed by Homosexual Action West Berlin, and then began to appear all over the world as a symbol of gay, lesbian, and trans liberation. Fast forward to 1981. America's gay communities face another merciless killer. The mysterious new disease that begins to take hold is falsely and harmfully accepted as inherently connected to homosexuality. By 1985, the AIDS epidemic had claimed more than 12,000 lives, and President Reagan addressed it publicly for the first time, 4 years late.
Yep.
Though primarily trying to defend himself against critics, saying that research efforts were seriously inadequate and that he wasn't taking it seriously at all.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. I read once about the guy who was like his head of, I can't remember, Nate once called it the Doctor of the United States, the Surgeon General, the Surgeon General.
Oh, yeah. That's how I remember it now, is the Doctor of the United States.
Doctor of the United States, the Surgeon General. His Surgeon General, whose name I cannot remember now, was a badass.
Dr. Coop?
C. Everett Koop, yes. C. Everett Koop, yes, badass. He was like really advocating for more of this research, and Reagan was like, don't talk about it, we're ignoring it, until it really just like could not be ignored anymore.
Reagan refused to listen.
He didn't listen or listen.
Or neither to Dr. Coop. 1981. They had confirmed cases, and it wasn't until 85 that he said anything about it publicly.
No, and when Coop finally was allowed to speak about it, he was really unequivocal of like, you do not, don't be blaming this on the gay community. But everyone was, of course, being like, well, if you're in the room with the gay person, you might get AIDS. And he was like, no.
Stop that.
Shut up. Everybody shut the holes.
At the same time, being 1985, a group of talented artists, men who were grieving the loss of loved ones and friends to this horrible disease, were meeting to talk about the almost taboo subject and commiserate. It was very quietly understood that you just did not talk about it at the time between people in the gay community, people who were not in the gay community. It just was not discussed. People were uncomfortable with it and didn't know how people would receive it. You know, it was just generally avoided. So these guys would meet to talk about it. And eventually they decided they wanted to take that fear and grief shared by many and turn it into action. Over the course of 6 months, the 6 men, Avram Finkelstein, Jorge Sakaris, Oliver Johnston, Chris Leone, Charles Kreloff, and Brian Howard, met to devise a poster. This poster was meant to not only galvanize the gay and lesbian communities, but also bring awareness to the fight that was already underway and mobilize people. The final product was released in 1987, a pink triangle, now right side up, against a black background with the words "Silence equals death."
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom of the poster, it says, "Why is Reagan silent about AIDS? What is really going on at the Center of Disease Control, the Federal Drug Administration, and the Vatican? Gays and lesbians are not expendable. Use your power, vote, boycott, defend yourselves, turn anger, fear, pain into action." I got teary-eyed. I am an emotional wreck right now, and reading it out loud got me. This became the name of the group, the Silence Equals Death Collective, which paved the way for ACT UP, the AIDS coalition to unleash power. Badass people.
Yes, hell yes. I remember one of my teachers in drama school talking about being in theater in New York and San Francisco at that time, and she was like, people just wouldn't show up one day. You didn't know, and you just assumed that they had died of AIDS. Like, she's like, I lost more than half my friends. They were just gone. Oh. Because people in power refused to fucking do anything about it because they were like, gay disease, so we don't have to worry about it.
So we don't have to do about it.
And then straight people started getting it, and they were like, uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Whoopsie.
The tagline of the poster bluntly called out, like you are saying, the lack of front page coverage of the epidemic by the media and the failure of the Reagan administration to take the issue seriously. Early on, Reagan's press secretary even made a mockery of the epidemic, calling it the, quote, gay plague.
Something one can imagine coming out of certain people's mouths on the public stage today.
Get ready.
Great.
The correlation between the administration's lack of urgency or action and the historical use of the pink triangle was clear. The poster's message was also directed at LGBTQ communities as a warning about the general lack of discussion, awareness, and education. More than 47,000 people had lost their lives to the disease by the end of that year, and more would die. Silence about this issue quite literally equaled death. By 1992, it had become the leading cause of death for men 25 to 44. Wow. Which, like you said, people would just not arrive.
Yeah, people would just disappear. Well, and it's part of why, I think you watched it too, the documentary about the serial killer who was targeting gay men in New York around this time. It's part of why he was so successful was because gay men were just disappearing. And you would be like, well, and several of the friends of the victims were like, I assumed he died of AIDS. Because that's what would happen. Totally no one would talk about it. You wouldn't know that people had it because they were so ashamed and so afraid of how they'd be treated. So people would just be there one day and maybe you'd know that they were sick, but maybe not. Right. And then they were just gone. And so when men are disappearing and they're being murdered, it's like it's the perfect cover for this serial killer to flourish.
So through horrible misery and unthinkable loss of life, the pink triangle has become a powerful symbol of resistance, resilience, and a stark reminder. It can be found on pride flags and posters and in media. Dr. Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show is actually wearing a pink triangle. I know, on his nurse smock. I had to look it up to look at the picture. If you look it up right now, you'll see it.
His little God. Nurse,
yeah, he's wearing one right on his lapel.
I'm looking at it.
I had never noticed, and I've seen that movie more than dozens of times.
I was going to say, the fact that you never noticed, I've seen it a decent amount, but not the way that you have. So that's shocking.
I was appalled.
Oh, yeah. It kind of reads kind of reddish, so maybe that's part of it. Right. It never clicked for me that it was the pink. Yeah. Oh, wow.
And I realize that the last time I talked about oppressors and tyrants, I mentioned the orange baby, diaper dumping baby, Stinky Cheeto Taco, aka our president.
Yes.
While I was researching, an article popped up, and Kate, I can't.
Oh, God.
Earlier this year, he actually reposted an op-ed about Army recruitment under the new Trump administration. And in it, there is an inverted pink triangle crossed out in red. And when people were like, excuse me? The response from the White House was, quote, "No president has been a greater friend to the Jewish community and Israel than President Trump." End quote. What?
That's not the question.
That's not what we asked.
That's not the topic. So.
At all. But it also is a huge marker that you know what it is, where it comes from, and what you're saying.
Yeah, so you know the origins, because that's where you leapt to. was the Nazis, but you just defended the wrong thing. Because turns out Nazis didn't just kill Jewish people.
Turns out.
Not what it's about. And they're using not even the, like, recaptured, like, empowered one. They're like, no, the OG. This is the symbol under the Nazis for gay people. And we're saying don't. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. I'm constantly mad at myself for having any kind of reaction to anything that they do. I feel the same. Yeah. Because I'm like, what do you fucking expect? But my brain doesn't even go, oh my God, and but of course, exactly. But I'm like, my brain can't even fathom, like, he just keeps doing things that I'm like, never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined this scenario.
The horse used the elevator.
Exactly right. What? If you have not watched that John Mulaney bit about Trump 1.0, about Trump being like a horse in a hospital, go look it up right now. It's so good. Wow.
And I don't know how else to end it but with that, because here we are again. I got so upset. Obviously, I'm in an emotional state the past few weeks, but researching this and finding out that there was such a beautiful, powerful movement, especially in Berlin. Like, the drag scene was booming. There were scientists and artists and authors and publications and sure, there was this dumb law, but everyone was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, and things were changing just like right now. And we felt as a community, as like me feeling sometimes like an outside of the queer community still, I was like, wow, we've gotten somewhere and things are happening and we're getting protections and let's stand up for trans people. And then look, it can happen in like a day, which like when it said that they created a specialized Gestapo division for this, I'm like, what is ICE other than the fucking Gestapo?
Right.
What is it? You look me in the fucking eyes and tell me that they are not Gestapo right now. Also, I just found out that Gen Z is throwing glitter
bombs.
ICE. Yes. Girl, like that
is the shit. Yeah, for those who don't know, Gen Z and I'm certain, not just Gen Z now, but they have been glitter bombing plainclothes ICE officers so that they can be identified as ICE officers, because glitter is a curse and it will stay on you for days and days. And so they're trying to show up and hide the fact that they're ICE officers, which I don't know the laws and legalities around that, but feels like it should not fucking be a thing. Like,
plainclothes cops of any nature, I'm like, that seems tricky and wrong.
I mean, I get it for detectives. I get that sometimes you have to tail somebody, you have to like watch somebody. I mean, fuck the police, but like I do, I say this is the daughter of a police officer.
Yeah, listen to her, you guys.
Yeah,
that was her dad.
Yeah. Who's also dead, so you can't be mean to me about him.
You can't come after her for it. She is imbued with the strength of dead dad.
And you must.
She is an orphan.
It just feels in this scenario like, what's the point of that? Like, except to just catch people off guard and alarm them, and like you're not catching them in the act of being here illegally. You already like just anyway.
None of it makes sense, and it's
borders are stupid.
No, everyone is a person. Everyone is a goddamn human being. Even these people who are
doing this shit. Yeah.
Doing this. That's my struggle right now. Rewatching Handmaid's Tale, it's like the wives. If one of them gets turned in, they go, whoop, well, bye, Kathy. Like, it's as they're getting dragged away, because these people aren't willing to stand up for each other, because maybe inherently they know that they're wrong.
Well, and white women in particular, I think, speaking as one of those, both of us.
You can speak to that.
Yeah. I think really tend to be aware of the fragility of their own power and privilege. I'm sure this will come up on some other topics, but it's probably worth just a dive one of these days, like white feminism and how historically, they've excluded people, and they know that they are kind of second in command as far as the power sphere goes, but that they are only there because they are, that it's tenuous. It's a tenuous position.
Sure. Right.
So white women do tend to like just throw other populations under the bus because they want to cling to their amount of power that they have, that they already realize is not promised.
But it's more than everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, we're such
Yeah, we can't be doing that. White ladies, we gotta put on our
Yeah,
big
listen
girl
up.
underpants.
Hey, any white women listening right now,
Yeah.
we've been
Turn your
talking about
shit
allyship.
around. Come get your
Turn it
people.
up. We're not having that right now, especially right now.
Straight white ladies in particular.
Be
We need
lesbians.
to be be lesbians. No, we need to be like using our voices and standing up, because we do. We have the, I would say, probably second highest amount of privilege in this country, and we gotta use it, man. We fucking have to, because all of this shit that Larkin just talked about in the Nazi era is happening right now. They are ready and they are willing to go all in. And God help us if it's down to Amy Coney Barrett to save our asses, as it has been weirdly multiple times.
Jesus, what is reality?
We can't do it, guys. We gotta.
No, and it's not like Kate says. I was about to say it's around the corner. It's not around the corner. It's happening.
It is currently
right now, and we're not getting our pinkies or fingers cut off yet for being white women speaking out. Do you want to wait till it is? Go throw glitter on some ICE agents.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are dismissed.
You are dismissed. Burn down plantations. No, don't do that. Don't do arson. Just if you happen to have a match that you dispose of irresponsibly, like a worker at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. Find a patch of dry leaves on a plantation. Go for it. Bonus if white people happen to be getting married on the lawn at the time.
Oh, dude. You could even put like a gender reveal portion into it.
Oh my God.
For them. They love that shit.
Trans colors.
Oh my God.
Smoke bomb with trans flag colors. Setting fire to a plantation.
Glitter.
This is the future the liberals want.
We will make it so.
We won't.
Go. No.
If that happens, we didn't do it. My official advice is don't do that. Don't commit crimes. Don't burn down plantations with a trans flag colored smoke bomb. As an amazing an idea as that is. Anyway, yeah. We got to step up, people. And we got to stop, because the other thing is we love to put it on the black people to step up instead.
Oh, all the work, always, all the time, especially black women.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? A lot of black women that I have seen on social media are saying they're not going to do it
anymore. Nope.
So,
I've been seeing a lot of that too. And I don't blame them one fucking bit.
I don't blame them. And I stand behind them.
Absolutely. Like, I actually just read a really great article by not a black woman, but a black man on LinkedIn, basically talking about that. Like, do we still owe it to anybody, like, who is not showing up for us to continue to show up? Especially when it's just evident that it's like, it's not going to go your way. We gotta step it up. A lot of people already are. I'm so proud of so many people that I am seeing being loud activists and putting themselves on the line for other people and doing the thing that some people cannot grasp, which is putting yourself out there to protect the rights of others, even when it does not affect you. So proud of all of you for protesting, donating, doing whatever you feel comfortable and safe doing, because it is not the same for everybody, and we recognize that not everybody can go get arrested at a protest, and if you're not ready to get arrested, don't go, because you're gonna put everybody else in more danger when you start freaking out when it's a possibility. Just, if it's not for you, that's okay. Stay home and donate, hand out water,
whatever you can do from home.
Yeah,
spread the word. There's a lawyer who's really prominent on TikTok now, and he's got some really quick knowledge facts that you should have as a protester getting arrested.
Yep.
Maybe I should link him here.
Yeah, we can do that.
Following. And Reb, what is her name?
Reb Maisel, yeah.
Maisel, yeah. Reb Maisel, she's got really good points about just shut the fuck up.
She is fantastic. Listen to her always. It is not legal advice that she is giving, because she is not
legal advice. Not legal
nor
advice.
Me, yes. But I will say, yes, shut the fuck up. Ask for an attorney, because your Fifth Amendment right to an attorney is stronger than your Fifth Amendment right to stay silent. Again, this is not legal advice, just experience from someone who went to law school and worked in criminal law for a minute. If you invoke your right to silence, they are allowed to come back and try and talk to you again later. It might be a few hours, or it might be the next day, but they are allowed to try again. If you invoke your right to an attorney, they are not allowed to talk to you again until you have spoken to one. Anyway, shut the fuck up is the golden rule. Shut the fuck up and ask unequivocally for an attorney. Don't say, I think I need an attorney. Say, I I will not be saying anything more until I have spoken to an attorney, or just, I would like an attorney and don't say anything else. And anything they say to you, just keep saying, I want an attorney.
I want an attorney. I want an attorney. And what stood out to me personally, and Kate will understand this, is she's like, I know some of you are going to want to catch an attitude. I know it takes a lot to swallow your pride, especially when you're being arrested for peaceful protest or something like that. And you want to give attitude back, and you want to stand up for yourself, and you want to be a little snarky like me. I'm a loose cannon with this stuff. Kate knows. She's like, I'm like a tiny little pit bull that she's like, Larkin.
Yeah.
Not now.
Yeah, keeping her mouth shut is not her forte in front of the police. Yeah,
No. And you got to do that. You got to just suck it up, because your safety comes first.
Yep.
That's all I'll say.
And you will be out to protest faster. Also, some just random facts, as I said, from someone who worked with people in jail. Memorize phone numbers. They will not always let you look in your phone to get a phone number. So
yes.
Memorize somebody that you know will pick up. And also let them know, like, hey, I might be calling you from a number you don't recognize. Please pick up, because also jail phone systems often do not allow you to leave messages because the person has to accept the call. And so if you get an answering machine, you're not going to be able to leave a message, tell them it's you. So let them know to be on the lookout and to answer their phone. If you are going to a protest on a Friday, be ready to be in jail until Monday, because you will not be arraigned over the weekend. So be aware of that as well. Factor that into your plans. If you need somebody to watch your pets or your children or whatever it is, make them aware that might be through the weekend, friendos, and that's also even sometimes on Thursday. You don't always get arraigned the next day. So Thursday, Friday, weekend protests, you're not getting arraigned until Monday or Tuesday. Just have that in your brain.
That's one I have not heard yet. So it's all the worst. Oh my God.
But of course. Yep. Well, this was great. This was so interesting.
I learned so much.
Me too. I had no idea about the thing about women being exempted is still like blowing my mind a little bit. I
was expecting to have like a whole section on lesbians and like what they, nope. They were like, no, women.
We're going to make them do it anyway.
Yeah. We can make them do whatever
Yeah,
Gilead
they already
style,
don't have a choice in who they're going to have sex with, so what does it matter? They can't commit to that lifestyle. We're not going to let it happen.
It's more just like they were looked at as kind of mentally ill or,
yeah,
not threatening. And if they were imprisoned, they were probably imprisoned for some other crime against Aryanism, right? And then just happened to also be lesbian.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm excited if you want to do a bonus episode on Hirschfeld. I think that would be great.
I think I should, because he did so many other things he did, like involving anthropology, women's rights, and it's just, and I want to learn more about Tante Magnesia. I want to see if I can find more about that.
Well, thank you so much for this. It was miserable.
Yeah. It was miserable, awful. Not only, the pink triangle isn't ruined.
No.
The correct pink triangle, but your day probably is. And you're welcome.
Yeah, and every time you see it, you'll be like, oh, inspiring, but for such a loaded reason. But it is great. It's a great story of a reclamation of a symbol that was used to oppress people, and that might be coming back in that form, I guess. But we can keep using it the right way up to fight it and represent.
We're keeping our triangles upright.
That's right. The world's trying to turn our triangles upside down. We are keeping them pointy side up.
Don't let anybody point your triangle down. Keep it pointed up at the sky.
Tips to the sky always.
Tips to the sky. We're here. We're queer.
And we're pointy. Okay. Well,
love you all.
Before we derail even further, we love you. Stay strong. Use your privilege as you have it. And
head on a swivel.
Stay frosty.
Stay frosty. Oh.
Stay strong. Stay frosty. Points up.
Points up.